Have you ever seen something that just shouldn't exist? Imagine a map, drawn in 1513, that appears to show the coast of Antarctica, hundreds of years before it was officially discovered. Not just that, but it seems to show Antarctica without any ice. This isn't a sci-fi movie plot. It's the mystery of the Peary Race map, and it's just one of several ancient maps that have fueled wild theories for decades. Are these maps proof of a lost, advanced ancient civilization? Evidence of ancient aliens visiting our ancestors? Or is there a more down-to-earth explanation? Today, we're diving deep into the world of impossible maps to separate fact from fiction. Let's get charting. The story begins in 1929 in the Topkapi Palace in Istanbul, Turkey. A team of historians discovered a fragment of a world map drawn on gazelle skin. It was dated to the year 1513 and signed by an Ottoman admiral and cartographer named Peary Race. The map was stunning. It showed Europe, West Africa, and the eastern coast of the Americas with remarkable accuracy for its time. Peary Race himself wrote on the map that he compiled it from about 20 different source charts, including some captured from Christopher Columbus. But what really caught everyone's attention was the bottom portion of the map. It depicted a landmass extending eastward from the southern tip of South America. In the 1950s, this landmass sparked a huge debate. A retired U.S. Air Force captain named Arlington Mallory looked at it and proposed a shocking idea. This was the coast of Antarctica, specifically Queen Maud Land. But here's the kicker. Antarctica wasn't officially discovered until 1820, and Mallory claimed the map showed the coastline under the ice, something we only managed to map ourselves with modern seismic technology in the mid-20th century. This idea was popularized by author Charles Hapgood in his 1966 book, Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings. Hapgood argued that the Peary Race map, and others like it, must be copies of much older source maps, created by a forgotten, highly advanced, seafaring civilization that existed during the last ice age, when Antarctica was supposedly iced. This theory, of course, blew people's minds. It fed into the growing fascination with ancient mysteries and the idea that mainstream history was hiding something. The ancient advanced civilization theory was born, and it was quickly followed by the ancient aliens hypothesis. What if it wasn't a forgotten human civilization, but extraterrestrial visitors who mapped the Earth and gave this knowledge to our ancestors? The Peary Race map became Exhibit A for these theories. How else could a 16th century admiral draw a continent that was officially unknown, and even more impossibly depict its ice-free coastline? It's a compelling mystery, right? It makes you wonder what else we don't know about our past. Have you ever come across a historical mystery that made you question everything? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to read about it. But before we start booking tickets to find Atlantis, let's take a closer look at the map itself with a more critical eye. When you actually compare the landmass on the Peary Race map to a modern map of Antarctica, the similarities start to fall apart. First, the scale is completely off. The landmass is attached to South America and bends sharply to the east, which doesn't match Antarctica's position at all. Cartographic experts and historians point out a much simpler explanation. The depiction is likely a representation of the coast of South America, probably Patagonia and modern-day Argentina, which was being explored at the time. Early mapmakers often had to work with incomplete and conflicting reports from sailors. It was common for them to guess what a coastline looked like, and when they ran out of parchment, they would often just curve the coastline to fit it on the page. The Peary Race map clearly shows the coast turning east to fit onto the gazelle skin. So, the supposed Antarctica is more likely a distorted drawing of the South American coast, a common practice for the era. And what about the ice-free part? The idea that Antarctica was ice-free 10,000 years ago when this supposed ancient civilization existed is also scientifically inaccurate. While the ice sheet has fluctuated, the continent has been covered in a massive ice cap for millions of years. There was no ice-free Antarctica for an ancient civilization to map. So, the core premise of Hapgood's theory crumbles under geological evidence. Peary Race himself gives us a clue. He wrote notes on this southern land, describing it as a hot land full of large snakes. That doesn't sound very much like the freezing plains of Antarctica, does it? It sounds a lot more like the tropical and subtropical regions of South America. But the Peary Race map isn't the only player in this game. Enter the Orensfine map of 1531. This is another favorite of ancient astronaut theorists. The map, a beautiful heart-shaped projection, also shows a large southern continent labeled Terra Australis, the theoretical southern land that many believed must exist to balance out the landmass of the northern hemisphere. What makes this map so intriguing is that the shape of Terra Australis on Fine S map looks remarkably similar to the actual continent of Antarctica. It even appears to have rivers and mountain ranges in places that correspond to where subglacial mountains and valleys are today. Again, the question arises, how could a cartographer in the 1530s know this? Just like with Peary Race, the explanation is less about ancient aliens and more about the history of mapmaking. Terra Australis Incognita, or the unknown southern land, was a concept that dated back to the ancient Greeks. Philosophers like Aristotle reasoned that for the Earth to be balanced, there must be a large landmass in the south to counterbalance Europe and Asia in the north. This was a purely theoretical idea, but it was incredibly persistent. For centuries, cartographers included this hypothetical continent on their world maps. Ornstein was simply following this long-standing tradition. He wasn't drawing a continent that had been surveyed. He was drawing a continent that he believed must exist. He drew in mountains, rivers, and bays not based on sailors' reports, but on pure imagination and artistic license, filling in the empty space. The fact that his imaginative drawing has some coincidental resemblance to the real Antarctica is just that, a coincidence. It's a classic case of what we call pareidolia, our brain's tendency to see patterns and familiar shapes in random data. It's the same reason we see faces in clouds or a man on the moon. When you look at dozens of other maps from that period, you'll see Terra Australis drawn in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. Some look a bit like Antarctica, others look nothing like it. Ornstein's version just happens to be one of the luckier guesses. The real history of these maps is arguably more fascinating than any conspiracy theory. They show us how knowledge was shared, how cartographers struggled with incomplete data, and how philosophical ideas could shape our view of the world for centuries. These weren't perfect, godlike views of the Earth. They were works in progress, full of guesses, errors, and artistic flourishes. The Piri race map is an incredible historical document because it shows the cutting edge of European knowledge in 1513. It combined brand new information from Columbus's voyages with ancient and medieval charts. It represents a pivotal moment in human exploration and understanding of our planet. It doesn't need aliens or a lost civilization to be amazing. Its real story is amazing enough. So, why do these conspiracy theories persist? I think it's because they tap into a deep human desire for wonder and mystery. The idea that there's a secret history of the world, hidden from us, is incredibly appealing. It makes the past feel more exciting and less predictable. And let's be honest, Ancient Aliens Mapped Antarctica is a way more exciting headline than 16th century cartographer made an educated guess based on a theoretical Greek concept. But in our search for wonder, we shouldn't dismiss the real, incredible stories that history has to offer. The real story of human ingenuity, exploration, and the slow, difficult process of mapping our world is a powerful and inspiring one. It's a story of brave sailors venturing into the unknown, and dedicated scholars piecing together fragments of information to create a bigger picture. It's a testament to human curiosity and our relentless drive to understand our place in the universe. What these maps truly show isn't a lost super-civilization, but the very beginnings of our own global civilization. They marked the moment when the world started to become connected, when maps were no longer just local guides, but tools to understand the entire planet. And that, I think, is a story worth telling. Thanks for joining me on this journey through cartographic mysteries. If you enjoyed debunking these myths with me, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's most fascinating puzzles. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss an expedition. Until next time, stay curious.